friends, Sarah here with Boho Stitchery, and it is Monday, so it's time for Make and Knit Monday. So if you want to learn how to knit, grab some needles and some yarn and join me for Making It Monday. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I have an exciting little project in store for you guys. I am going to teach you how to make these adorable little mini knitted pumpkins. These are great for fall decorations. You can sit them on the table next to some candles or some other fall and Halloween decor. And let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate the pattern that I use because it is the same pattern that I did last week on Make and Knit Monday, which was the slipped rib stitch pattern, I believe is what we called it. And so go back and review that video if you need a refresher or if you didn't watch last week's video, because you will need to know how to do that pattern. Mostly I'm just going to teach you how to assemble this cute little pumpkin. Now, I've crocheted these in the past. I've never knitted them, so I thought I would give this a try because I thought that slip stitch rib pattern would be perfect. What I would suggest is you can get some cinnamon sticks or even go outside, go for a little walk. Find you some small sticks or twigs. I found this out in the yard. I need to cut it down a little bit more, but you'll get the idea. So basically you can hot glue them in here, or you can just sit them in there, tie a little ribbon around them, and they become really, really cute decorations for the fall. So let me go ahead and set this little cute guy aside here. And to make these little pumpkins, like I said, I've just got a couple more rows here left on this one. I did about 18 rows for this to get the height that I wanted, and when you cast on, that's going to be the circumference or the width around. For this size, I casted on 35 stitches. Now that's going to be a multiple of 3 plus 4, but like I said, if you need a review or you didn't watch last week's knitting video on Making It Monday, go back and watch that, and that'll teach you how to do this. I'm not really going to spend a whole lot of time going over that process, but I just have a couple more rows here, so let me go through and just knit these up real quick. So remember it's a 2-row repeat if you watched last week's video, but I'll go ahead and do this couple rows really fast here with you guys. But yeah, to start your pumpkin, like I said, just cast on. If you're making this size, I would cast on about 35 stitches. So let me just finish up with these last couple rows here. I think I had about 2 rows left, give or take. It doesn't have to be exact, you know, but you do want to cast on enough to make this size. Let's see, I lost what I was doing here. 1, 2, 3, slip, 1, 2, 3, slip. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up these last couple rows off camera, just so you guys don't have to sit here and watch me do that. Like I said, go back and watch that video from last week, and I'll be back with you guys and we'll assemble this cute little pumpkin. Okay guys, I am back. So I finished my last couple rows here, and now once you've gotten the height of your pumpkin, so from the bottom to the top here, you want to go ahead and cast off. Now I'm just doing a traditional plain Jane ordinary cast off. You don't have to use anything fancy for this. So let's just go ahead and cast off all of our stitches. We're just going to go ahead and cast off every stitch. I'll go ahead and finish this up off camera and I'll be right back with you. Okay guys, so once you've cast it off, your pumpkin will look like this. It's just a straight little flat piece of knitting, but not for long. So this next step, we're going to seam our pumpkin up like this. So you have a couple of options. I'm going to use a crochet hook and slip stitch it, but if you're not a crocheter, if you don't have any crochet hooks, you can take like a darning needle or a yarn needle and just whip stitch it closed. But since I have some crochet hooks here, I am going to slip stitch it closed. But before I do that, I need to cut my yarn. Now I will tell you, you're going to want to leave a really long tail. I would say maybe even close to a yard or 2 feet, either way, right around there, because we're going to use that to give our pumpkin this squished up, ribbed effect. So like I said, just make sure you give yourself lots of extra tail. More is better in this case. So I'm gonna probably do, let's just try to do maybe about 2 or 3 feet here. So I'm gonna clip that and then go ahead and pull that through. Okay, and now both sides really look the same on this particular stitch. I don't really think there's a right side or a wrong side, so it really doesn't matter because both sides are exactly the same. So you're gonna fold it up like so. And then if you're using a crochet hook, I found to keep this rib stitch design sort of similar to the pattern, if you go through the back loop on the front piece, so right here, and then go under both loops on the back piece. And I'm sorry for the background noise, guys. I hope you don't hear a lot of it. I've got my windows open in my office, and I've got people riding motorcycles down the street and kids outside hollering, so I'm hoping, whoops, and you know what I did? I'm trying to use the short tail. Scratch that. Let's flip this around. I was trying to use this little tail. Now this tail here, really I should have given myself a longer starting chain or tail off the starting chain because I need that to stitch the bottom, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Let me go ahead and get this started. So we're going to go in the back loop on the front piece here, or as best you can, and then go underneath both loops of the back side. So there's 3 loops on your hook there. If you're using a crochet hook, you're going to yarn over and slip stitch through all those loops. So again, we're going to go through the back loop of the front side, and we're going to go underneath both loops on the back. So there's 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. But again, if you don't have a crochet hook, you could just use a needle and thread and whip stitch it the same way by going through the back loop of the front and under both loops of the back. Exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and I will meet up with you guys when I get down to the end. Okay guys, so I made it down to the end of my chain here, doing my slip stitch. Then you're gonna pull your thread through here. And now it sort of looks like a little cuff, but you guys can see how it keeps sort of that nice flat rib stitch. The pattern looks pretty much the same. It looks close to being seamless. Not exactly, but pretty close. And now what we want to do is I'm going to grab my yarn needle. Got my little container here with some yarn needles in it. And I like these. I think I got these on Amazon or something, or maybe Walmart, I'm not sure. I've had them for so long, but these are great. So they're yarn needles. They have a large eye to fit the yarn through, but they're also curved at the tip, so it's easier to pick your stitches that way. So what I'm going to do now is take the short tail. Like I said, I should have actually made this a little bit longer than I did. And we're going to use this to seal up the bottom of our pumpkin. So to do that, we're just going to go, so see how there's a space here. Here we have our chains that lay real pretty on the front, and then the spaces in between. I'm just going to go in and out, and I'm going to skip over the pretty chains. So basically you're skipping just about every other space. So just weave that in and out. So like I said, not too big of gaps, but enough that you're not sitting there going through every stitch. So go ahead and do that until you get around to the edge, and then cinch that closed, and I'll meet up with you guys in a minute. Okay guys, so like I said, should have given myself a little bit more tail, but it's not too bad. So once you kind of go in and out each of these rows, or every other row, I guess I should say, and then you pull it tight. Got some of my hair in my project. You guys ever do that? Find your own hair in your project? I do that all the time. And once you pull it closed, it kind of cinches it closed like so. I just like to pull it tight and weave it in and out a couple of times. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is going to be the bottom. You just mostly want to make sure it's closed pretty tight because you don't want your stuffing to fall out the bottom. Okay, so then I'm just going to jump across here a couple of times. Just try to get it as smooth and flat as I can. I'm not doing a great job, but this is kind of hard to do with the tripod in between your knees. And let's trying to make sure I keep everything on camera here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So just weave that in and out as best you can. And then just take it in here and it'll get lost in there with your stuffing. So next we want to do is we're going to take this, remember this long tail I said we want to keep long because we're going to use it to make these indentations in the pumpkin so it looks more pumpkin-like and not just like a round ball. So we're going to thread our yarn on the needle here, and now I'm going to grab some stuffing. I bought a gigantic box of stuffing. It's like huge at Joann's. It was on sale, and so instead of bringing it all the way in here into my office, I just threw a big handful of it in a Walmart bag. And it's nice because if I want to take my knitting or crocheting out with me and I need it, then I can just throw that in my yarn bag. So what you're going to do now is you're just going to stuff your pumpkins, and you don't want it super full, but you do want it packed down there and pretty well. Just you don't want it clear up to the top like that. Maybe is even too much. So it looks something like that, right about there. You guys can adjust it to your own liking. And now what we're going to do is on the bottom where our thread's coming out here, we're going to try to find the center of that as best we can. And you're just going to stick it up through there and pull it from the bottom up. Oops, and there's our tail. You can kind of just smush that down, and with the stuffing it'll get lost in there. So what we want to do is we kind of want to just find one of the edge stitches here and pop it up in there. And like I said, if you're just sticking it through the stuffing, it's fine. It's not going to matter much. And again, we want to kind of do the same thing. We want to just weave in and out just every few chain stitches. You don't want them super close, but again, not far apart. I would say about every 2. So it came out that way. Let's skip these 2 and kind of just go back in here, and you can eyeball it to your liking as well. If you want your sections closer together, put them closer together. If you want them farther apart, but you can do it however you like. So we're just going to go in and out all the way around the pumpkin. I'm not sure, I can't remember what this stitch is called, like a running stitch, I guess, is what it's called. I don't know too much about embroidery terminology. So we're just going in and out all the way around. And I probably should have used like a stitch marker so I could find my beginning. I think it's right about over here. And see, this is kind of gappy at the top. I don't like that, so I'm gonna run it through both of those just to tighten up my ends where I joined it. And now what you can do, if you're gonna leave it open and put like a cinnamon stick in the center or just like a little stick out of the yard, you wanna kind of stick your thumb down in the center of the stuffing, take your tail, and when you're cinching it, keep your thumb inside there. And I've got great big thumbs here, so we're gonna maybe just use my index finger to pull it tight around that, like so. And now we have this opening that's big enough to put the stick or the cinnamon stick or whatever you're using in there if you want that. If you don't, just pull it tight and cinch it closed. Now what we need to do is we're going to go straight back down into our pumpkin and come up the end so that we're back at the bottom, and we're going to pull that through the bottom. Now to make your edges here, like I've done, see how it kind of dimples in, it pulls in? That's what we're going to do. So we're coming out the bottom. We're going to find our next space here. Now I will say usually I go in between the pretty chain stitches. So here you can see your flat pretty V-stitches. I like to go into the spaces in between. So if you kind of follow that down, we got it coming out here. I want to go through here. What I like to do is just go in and out underneath these bars or these ladders. And I'm back at the top sort of here. So I'm going to pull this through, and this is why you needed all that extra space. So go ahead and in and out. And we are back up at the top of the pumpkin. So again, we're going to go straight down into our stuffing and through the bottom. And my bottom of my pumpkin is not super tidy, so it's kind of hard to find the center, but I'm sure you guys will turn out much tidier. And then when we got that, if you pull it, you see how it kind of puckers in and pulls in? That's how you get your shape to your pumpkin. So again, we're gonna kind of skip over the next one, and I like to do about every other one, but if you don't have an even number that you can do that with, then just, eyeball it the best you can, or you can do it in every single one if you want to. It's your project. You customize it how you like. So again, we're just going in under these bars. And this is the part that actually I feel like takes the longest. It's not the knitting or anything. That you can do pretty quickly. It's just the process of seaming it up and stuffing it. That's what takes a while. So then I'm gonna, give it a little tug, not too tight, but it kind of gives it some shape. So go ahead and finish that, and I will meet you guys back up when I've completed. Okay guys, so I have made it all the way around my pumpkin here, and I'm gonna kind of cinch it up. Now I would probably, I think I'm gonna tighten up the top hole a little bit because I feel like mine is a little too loosey-goosey. But if you guys are satisfied with that, yours, then you don't have to do this part. I just think mine's a little too open still. So just kind of tightening it up a bit. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now to tie off, what we're gonna do is just kind of hide our ends. Whoops. Gonna hide our end kind of down in the stuffing a little bit. So you just go in and out, wherever. Down in there, come out over here. You just want to make sure it's in there good and nice and woven in and hidden. That's probably pretty good. And then I will just snip it off. And now you can kind of mold this or shape it how you like. This one I think turned out a little flat, but you can always kind of squeeze it and it'll pucker it up and make it a little taller. But that's it, guys. That's how you make the knitted fall pumpkins. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to follow me on social media. You can find me at boho_stitchery on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.